Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about gentle skincare, sometimes self-care, and today we're talking March favorites. This is the video where I share with you all of the skincare and beauty products that made a big impression on me this month. So if you're so ready to dive into the faves and empties, give the video a big thumbs up and let's jump right in. Let's dive into the first new favorite product, which is the timeless Coenzyme Q10 serum. So this is a pretty simple serum that focuses in on Q10, Coenzyme Q10, which is a really potent antioxidant, as well as Matrixyl 3000, which is a peptide duo that helps to really target the signs of aging on the skin. And I've been really reaching for this mostly for the antioxidant content, but the Matrixyl is a nice additional benefit. I am increasingly more and more interested in antioxidants. Over, I would say, the last year and a half, I've really noticed how helpful certain antioxidants have been for me in my skincare journey, not just as like definitely for their protection, but I'm not really talking about sun protection, because that's what we think about when we think antioxidants. We think the sun, right? And how it just kind of helps us combat the effects of the sun on our skin, that they're great for anti-aging. But I really have been trying to key in on what antioxidants help me for my skin and allergies and pollutants in the air, because that's increasingly becoming a concern of mine. Definitely allergies. It's like the season for allergies just every year just seems like it's worse and worse, and it seems like it starts sooner and sooner. But I also feel like as I get older, I'm just a little bit more like the symptoms are just a little bit more worse for me. And in the last couple of years, I've noticed how allergies, they affect my body, my sinuses, my eyes, my head for sure, my energy even. But they also make my skin feel really sensitized. Nothing else can change in my routine, but just because my allergies are flaring up, my skin just feels like it's more prone to sensitivity. It's more prone to irritation. It just doesn't feel like in my skin, it just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? And I've noticed that effect with allergies. And most recently, I've been noticing it with the bad air quality days too. It's really about being in tune and in sync with your body. And so I've been exploring antioxidants as a way to protect my skin from those types of effects. And not all antioxidants are made the same, but there are certain key ones that have helped me a lot through the last year. And so I was really excited to try this one from Timeless, because Q10 is one of those antioxidants that has a pretty famous reputation for being potent, for being really strong, hardworking for the skin, but it also is well known for its anti-aging or well-aging abilities. Some studies are suggesting that Q10 does play a role in the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. This one was interesting because they take the Q10 and they put it alongside of Matrixyl 3000, which definitely targets looks of fine lines and wrinkles. It's a collagen stimulating a peptide duo, but it also targets things like tone and texture of the skin too. So just overall, just kind of like helps to improve the look of your skin. And so that sounds like a perfect morning serum. You know what I mean? We get that potent antioxidant. We get some well-aging on the side. We get some peptides too. Who isn't trying to work on collagen stimulation, tone, and texture on their skin? If you're in your 30s, you probably are, right? And so this has really been something I've been reaching for. Like I said, mainly in my morning routines. I've been still focusing on just like ceramides and barrier care in my night routine, which I recently shared with you. And so I really just kind of sub in this serum with the rest of those products, and it's been working really nice. Texture is interesting. It's not as hydrating as I would really prefer, but it's not bad either. There is a nice base of hyaluronic acid in here, which not my favorite ingredient for winter and super cold weather, but right now it's working perfectly. It's not dehydrating me. It's giving me that nice plumpness that I like. There's a little moisture, just a little slip to this. It's like that hyaluronic acid moisture. It's not like oil moisture. There's just a little kiss of it that just kind of helps to keep everything in place. It's a pretty simple serum. I think it's a step up from like some of your more basic serums from like The Ordinary. It's a little bit more going on here, but it's still very simple in the formulation. But I've been happy with it. I think it has been helping. It's a little too soon to say for sure about how Q10 is protecting my skin, because we haven't gotten fully into the super bad air quality days or the super, high allergy days either. But I do believe that it's been helping. And even if it's not helping on that front, the Matrixyl, I'll take it. Super well proven peptide duo. So it's a kind of interesting take on adding, you know, an antioxidant or a peptide duo into your routine. You don't have to just isolate them. I feel like that kind of skincare is getting kind of boring. You know what I mean? Like those single star ingredient types of products where it's just Matrixyl or it's just Q10 or it's just hyaluronic acid. This is a nice, I think, smart pairing. It's simple. It's to the point, but that's exactly what I've wanted this month. And it's actually one of the first timeless products that I've used. I've played around with their vitamin C a little bit, but I've been really impressed with the brand, and I'm excited to try more. So I want to talk about the Wishtrend UV Defense Moist Cream SPF 50 plus PA+4. Now this is a interesting chemical sunscreen. It's actually a combination of 2 older generation chemical filters and 3 newer generation chemical filters. So it kind of shakes up, I feel like, a lot of the chemical filters in K-beauty sunscreens recently have all kind of felt the same, and it's not bad. It's something I've noticed. So they've kind of shaken it up and done something a little bit different here. But why I've been really reaching for this a lot in March, and I was playing around with it a little bit in February too, and I just kind of felt like I was grabbing it a lot, is that it actually is this really nice creamy sunscreen. A lot of sunscreens, I think, do kind of try to go into that lighter territory, understandably so, and I'll be switching to my lighter ones soon enough, right? But they tend to go for more of that cream gel kind of feel on the skin, and this really does maintain a nice airy creaminess, almost like a whipped creamy feel to it that adds like a nice amount of moisture without feeling like a thick, waxy, greasy sit on top of your skin type of sunscreen. So beyond just like that kind of creamy light moisture that this provides, I think it performs well too. You know, I'm always afraid of those sunscreens that have a creaminess to it. I'm like, these are going to be kind of greasy. They're going to be kind of heavy. They're kind of going to sit on top of my skin. But I was really pleasantly surprised at how this spread and absorbed onto the skin. It's not streaky. It really blends into the skin well. And it does dry down in a good amount of time. There's no denatured alcohol in here, and no fragrance or essential oils, else I probably wouldn't be using it, right? But I just wanted to mention that. So it doesn't have the denatured alcohol, which can kind of aid the dry time. But I just think on its own, it has like a nice dry and settled time, works well underneath makeup. I didn't experience any like pilling, or sometimes like I get like a gumminess with sunscreens. I didn't get that with this. So I just think overall it's like a really nice solid sunscreen. And I think the texture and the moisture element are really what solidified it as a March favorite for me. I just keep reaching for this a lot because I love that airy whipped cream texture. It's fun, it's different, but it also performs well and adds that little dose of moisture that my skin is craving in this early spring temperature without overwhelming it or making it look extremely greasy either. So now I want to share with you some skincare that I emptied this month. And I'm not going to share everything, every little thing that I emptied. We can save that for a dedicated empties video. But I really wanted to pick out my very, very top favorite products that I emptied this month. All of which, except for one, which I'll talk about in just a second, have actually made it to monthly favorites in the past. So I do want to kind of like just give you like that updated empty review, but just know that these are like the best of the best. First up is one that you haven't heard of. This is something I kept meaning to get this into a monthly favorites, and it just didn't quite work out that way. And then, oh, it's empty. So this is the Facetheory Ocuwake eye cream. And like I said, this was something that I wanted to name as a monthly favorite for a while, but I kept kind of holding off. And my reasoning on holding off was really, it's an eye cream. And so when I talk about a favorite eye cream, I want to be able to talk about results. I think that that's important to really kind of know what is an eye cream going to do for you, because it's really one of those products where you're like, do I even really need this? And for some folks, you do. And so for some folks, you don't. And for some, it's like, well, I want to specifically target something in that eye area, and I want to know if this is going to be worth it, right? And so I want to be able to answer those types of questions to the best of my ability, just knowing that it's my experience, right? So I was holding off just because the eye cream format, I was like, I don't know about results yet. I don't know. So hard to gauge with eye creams as it is. And like I said, and then all of a sudden it was empty in March. I'm like, oh, I guess I can't talk about this. Or can I? It's actually the best time to review an eye cream, isn't it? So this is actually the first Facetheory product that I've ever tried, but I was really into it the first time I used it, and it really, I think for me, eye creams, the texture's got to be just right. This is a really nice, kind of a lotiony eye cream texture. It's not really thick. It's not buttery. I wouldn't even call this particularly rich. It has a nice lotiony creaminess to it and a nice burst of hydration, actually. Sinks into the skin really nicely. There's maybe a slight plumpness to this. Not as much as like you would get with like a gel type of texture, but because there's a good amount of hydration, it just has like a little bit of that replenishing, plumping kind of feel to it. But it's really lightweight for having that lotioning cream texture. It feels a little bit lighter than some of the more traditional eye creams that I tend to use this time of year. So I just really liked it, but it didn't feel so light to the point where it wasn't protecting my skin or giving me that extra boost of moisture. And I realized it's because this cream contains a very good amount of urea. Now this is one of my favorite humectant ingredients. It's really great for your skin barrier. It's really great for holding a lot of hydration in place. It's actually kind of a soothing ingredient as well, and it's just an ingredient that has played well with my skin before. Urea really helps to repair skin, especially if it is weak or damaged. It's actually really great if you do suffer with some irritation as well. And at the end of the winter, I was definitely getting dryness underneath my eyes quite a bit. That was making me really want to like slug and things like that. And I do feel like the urea was the star. I was expecting like, is this going to brighten my skin? Is this going to like plump out like fine lines and wrinkles? But I think really the benefit that I found using this down, I wish I could get more out of this. Like it's like that metal type of tube. So it's kind of like annoying to squeeze the last bits out and a little bit hard. You can cut it open, just be very careful. It's easy to slice your finger. It's really the urea that's the star here. So I think that this eye cream, I don't know that I would go for it for brightening. I don't know that I would go for it for well aging. I think if you want some nice moisture, it's good for that. But if you just need like to really repair that under eye area, if it's feeling a little raw, if it's feeling a little dry, maybe you are having flakiness, but you don't want to go for like the heaviest, richest type of eye cream texture. This is so nice. It walks that fine balance between a good amount of creaminess and moisture and hydration, lightness, and good absorbency. That's not going to mess around with your mascara or anything, right? But it's got that really nice urea in there that really helps to repair that ailing skin. Let's talk Roundlab 1025 Dokdo toner. It's been a minute since I've talked about this, right? I tried this, I want to say maybe it was like towards the end or the middle of 2022, and I really loved it. And I think I used another bottle in 2023, but then it kind of like fell off on my radar, and I was doing all kinds of different things with toners. And I did like a big stock up order around the end of December, and I was like putting in like, what are all the staples that I'm running low on? I was really running low on toner. So I got a bunch of old favorites that you're probably going to start to see throughout the different routines and faves and things like that in the next coming months. But this was the one that I was like, I'm going to open this one up first because I remember how much I love this. And this is just pure watery hydration. There's no like body, there's no bounce, there's no jelliness to this, but this watery texture dives so deep into the skin, and it's very, very replenishing. And it's particularly good if you do have that deep like tightness in your skin, that dehydrated feeling deep in your skin. You know how some toners just don't feel like they cut it? This really cuts it, but it's very surprising at how well it works for being so thin and watery. So I just talked about this last month, and it's empty. This is the Skinfix Triple Lipid Peptide Moisturizer. So I actually just emptied this. I think it's just a week ago that I emptied this, and I was like, oh no! I was like pressing down on this thing, and then like nothing else is coming out. I'm like, oh, it's hard to tell because of this airless pump. It just has a weight to it. So like with your tubes or even more of a traditional jar, you can tell because it's just the weight is lighter. With this one, I was quite surprised because the weight never really went super light because there's a whole cartridge in here that weighs it down. This is actually their refillable packaging, and I do have a refill, but this is so cool. I'll just show you. It actually this part just twists right off, and then that's the cartridge, and then this is what the refill is. So you just switch them out, and then you have that there. So I do like that concept quite a bit. I like that it's catching on. This has a very silky, very luxurious texture. It feels really great on the skin. But as I think I mentioned in my review in the February monthly favorites video, I said like this is the type of cream that works for me like 3 months out of the year, right? And then other creams that are my favorites work for me 9 months out of the year. This is very strictly a cold weather type of moisturizer for me, and that's how I was using it in the last couple of months. It's just going to boost up my routine when I needed a little bit more moisture. This will be too much for me as my skin goes from combo dry to more classically combination with a lot more oil production. So I think like I said, I think I emptied this at just the right time. I don't know that this is something that would get me further into April. I was really tempted to open that refill when I emptied this like right away, and I was like, you should probably hold off because you're gonna use like, you know, you're gonna use it like 5 days and then you're not gonna use it anymore. It's just gonna sit. Like maybe save your refill for the cooler fall months. So for this month's self-care corner, I wanted to talk about creativity, and really specifically like embracing your creativity, maybe cultivating like a creative hobby or practice, or like rediscovering your creativity, because that's really what I've been doing this month. You know, I picked up my paintbrush for the first time in years, like literal years. And it was scary, but it was also like really fulfilling as well. And I say scary because it's like I haven't done this in so long. I'm so rusty. And then it's like you have something in your mind, you're like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. And then it's like you can't do it, or you messed it up somehow, right? And you're like, oh no, I screwed it up. But that's part of the creative process too. It's like, how can I make this all work together? Like, I'm not going to scrap this. Like, how can I make this come together? I just love creating things with my hands too. I work so much, and I think this is true of most of us. I work so much with technology, and so much of my creativity is translated through a screen or a device, right? Like I'm talking into a camera now, which I will connect to my computer, which I will edit with a computer, and the computer will really help me and guide that process, right? And then I'll upload it to you through a screen, and that's great. I mean, I love that too. Obviously, that's why I'm still here, like creating, right? But I do feel like sometimes there's like a distance to that type of creativity. So it's just really nice to do something with your hands. I think every single one of us is a creative person. I don't think you need to pick up like a paintbrush in order to be creative. It could be through baking. It could be through writing your words. It could be through expression and performance, right? There's so many different ways that we can be creative. And I think that sometimes it's a part of ourselves that we kind of just push to the side, but it can be extremely rewarding. I've recently been working on sacred geometry. I got a book about it, and it's really fun because it's about, really a lot of it is creating circles with like a geometry compass, like what you used in high school, right? But it's all about these interlocking shapes, and they go from very, very simple foundational shapes to incredibly complex designs. I'm not quite there yet. I'm working slowly through it. It's really fun to put that precision together, but then to really activate that right side of your brain and that creativity and say, oh, this shape reminds me of this. It inspires me to that. I'm finding all of these different designs I can put within these perfect shapes and create more intricacy, or it inspires me on a certain color palette. I did something that was completely like totally inspired by a tiger's eye, because I saw this eye in the shape and it was like, there it is, you know. Finding all the different shapes within it. I've been having a lot of fun. Yes, I love watercolor. That's like my main thing. I like watercolor and ink and marker to define out all the lines. It's really, really nice. But I also love colored pencils. I love shading and blending. And I've had a lot of fun working with dark paper. That was like changed everything. But I wanted to share that with you because, yeah, maybe you do want to rediscover your creativity or ignite your inherent creativity. It can be, you know, obviously any way that you want to do it, but I have just personally found it to be meditative, therapeutic, mind clearing. It helps to relieve stress for sure, but it also, like I said, it's engaged my mind in ways that it usually isn't. So it's been like a fun sort of challenge, especially with some of that more like the precision and the geometry for me personally. But I also think that it helps us to kind of like learn to embrace mistakes maybe that you make, maybe just kind of like go and let go and go for something and not worry worry too much about the outcome. I think we're always so concerned about the outcome of things, and we don't always enjoy the process of things. What would Bob Ross say, right? He would say, like, embracing those happy mistakes, right? So be brave. So be brave and embrace your creativity. So now I'm curious to hear about your favorite products from March. Let me know in the comments below, or maybe a hobby or self-care practice that you've been working on this month. If this video helped you out, you stayed all the way through the end, and you want to see more from me, please remember to hit subscribe before you go. Turn on notifications so you're never out of the loop, especially if you want lots of skincare content on your feed. I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. Thanks for making this channel possible, because as I say, I cannot do it without you. I hope you're healthy, happy, and safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.